The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They prize up all UK and Irish racing the night before.
Hello one and all, and welcome to this Racing Postcast, looking back at a fantastic weekend of flat racing action and looking forward to another good week as well. Joining me in the RPTV studio hub is Nick Watts, fellow Racing Post colleague Justin O'Hanlon, and Paddy Power from our sponsors. Paddy Power are both with us from Ireland this afternoon. Hello boys.
Hello, Lee.
Good day.
Hello, Lee. You right?
Good, thank you. Good. And great weekend for you guys over at the Curragh on Saturday and Sunday. If we start with the Irish 2000 Guineas and Galileo Gold failing to do what Glen Eagles had done last year and winning both the Guineas. The winner was deeply impressive, hugely popular 1 and 2 for Kevin Prendergast. What was our feelings watching that race? Do we think that those two horses came home in order of their actual ability, or would we have hope for Galileo Gold reversing the form come Royal Ascot?
Well, I fancied Otad on the day.
Right.
Once the rain came. I mean, it was a great occasion. It was a pleasure to be in the winners' enclosure afterwards. I wrote in the report that the only thing I've seen compared to that in the last few years is Hurricane Fly at Leopardstown and Sprinter Sacre that day at Punchestown. You know, flat winners don't get those kind of receptions over here, but
no.
that was a real outpouring now at the Curragh on Saturday. And I mean, fair play to Kevin at this 83 years of age to be able to bang out a classic winner or a Guineas winner 40 years after his previous one is a fair performance. And he said he's the best horse he's had. He could well be the best horse he's ever had. He said he was. Compared him favourably to Ardross, two completely different types of horses, I know, but just as a reflection of their respective abilities. Could he confirm the form at Ascot on better ground? It remains to be seen. I think Kevin was fairly confident that he'd handled good ground very well, but he also, I think he also is going to push his case to have the horse run the Derby, so we'll see how that works out.
Do you think you don't think then that's a done deal then, do you, Justin? I mean, listening to Angus Gold, who presumably has the hotline to I thought Kevin was beautifully described as the boss man, Sheikh Hamdan. They seem pretty adamant they want to stick to a mile.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then that's what'll happen.
But what do you think Kevin would like to do?
Oh, I get the impression that he'd like to go for the Derby.
Do you?
He definitely thinks he'll stay a mile and a quarter because his pedigree suggests that he will. But you know, he's never won a Derby. He's had very few runners in the race over the years, and he wouldn't have too many more chances to win one. So I think that might be what might be driving him as much as anything. In trying to persuade them to do otherwise.
Paddy, you're the only one of us that has any aspiration of being wealthy enough to one day own a Derby horse. If you put yourself in the position of Hamdan Al Maktoum, as I'm sure you regularly do.
I do all the time.
You do all the time.
So much in common.
Yes. If he was yours, would you be going to Epsom or Ascot?
I don't know. I suppose there's only one Derby and all that kind of all those cliches. And this year's the Derby doesn't look that hard, does it? But maybe that's the same every year until we actually see the winner hack up. But I don't think you go for the Derby. I think the fact that Sheikh Hamdan is Sheikh Hamdan, he's definitely going to decide. I think he's going to go to Ascot, and I think, in my view, to my eye, I think that Galileo Gold should have been just as convenienced by the soft ground as Otad should have been. And I think there's every chance he'll improve for better ground, and if he does, I think he absolutely hacked up. I really do. I think there's no excuses for Galileo Gold. I think he's just well beaten. I'd be back in Otad all day to confirm form with him.
But he didn't quite get the run of the race, did he? I mean, it would have been interesting to see what happened had they both.
But don't forget, just as well, after they were saying that Chris Hayes' only instruction was don't get there too soon. And fair play to Chris Hayes, he played the race as he saw it, as big race jockey should.
Oh, indeed.
When he saw Frankie was boxing, he just went for it. So maybe he was in front soon enough as well, you know.
What's he? It looks then as though Otad heads to Royal Ascot, Galileo Gold heads to Royal Ascot. It looks as though the Gurkha, who was mightily impressive in the French Guineas, albeit a race whose form is maybe not that solid and was running at a slow pace. Looks like he goes to Ascot as well. If all three go for the SJP, which one of the three would you be with?
Yeah, I think I'd be with Otad as well. He was very impressive at the weekend, wasn't he? And You know, I agree with Paddy. I don't think there was many excuses for Galileo Gold. He should have been as suited to the ground as Ortad was. And Ortad won comfortably. I only wish, if I could turn back the clock, I could have backed Ortad for that handicap he won 2 starts or 3 starts ago at the beginning of the season. God, he must have been a good thing that day. But yeah, if all 3 went, and it looks like they will now with Air Force Blue blowing out the Gurkha, is going to be the miler, apparently, for Ballydoyle now for the summer. It's going to be a tremendous race, but I think Ortad could do it on quicker ground. So yeah, I'd be with him again.
I've got to say, if I could turn back the clock, I'd be back in Monmouth for the Grand National in 2008 as opposed to.
That's just greedy, Lee.
But well, yeah, no. But if you have the choice, then why not take it? Paddy, how are you guys pricing up the St James's Palace?
Yeah, so actually, it's funny. We say, like, I mean, I'd be with Nick on that one, but I think I know the prices are. The Gurkha is pretty short price, 5-4 favourite. Ortad's 3-1, and Galileo Gold 4-1. So the 3 of them dominate the market. Looks like pretty mouth-watering race, like on the first day of Ascot. Another great race on day 1 of Ascot, but. Yeah, he's like. I think Nick hit the nail on the head that there is no other miler there, so they've got about 700 runners in the Derby already. Don't they, Coolmore? So, so I think the Gurkha will go the James's Palace route, and I think. Yeah, I think he'll definitely go off favourite, but 5-4 might be tight enough anti-post, to be honest.
I think that's a short price, but who am I to say?
But he's put up the best performance by a 3-year-old miler this year, hasn't he?
Yes, I'm not convinced that he is as. I mean, he might well be as good as he looked at Deauville, but I'm not sure. He won by a big margin. It's a funny race.
I think we should be very thankful that the French Guineas was run at Deauville this year, because if it was run at Longchamp with that lottery of the draw, it could have been a completely different race. But it was a proper race at Deauville, and he won it like a really, really good horse. He's the best 3-year-old miler around for me at the moment, unless something happens at Ascot.
And that comment there on the Longchamp Turning Mile was the political section of this particular Racing Post postcast there from Justin O'Hanlon. The Irish 1,000 guineas. Well, I didn't expect that. I've got to say, a fantastic duel down the straight between Minding and Jet Setting. I always thought Minding was going to get ahead in front, but she didn't do. She was beaten. Fantastic again to see the smaller camps coming out on top. Minding down for the Oaks, Paddy. What price?
Yeah, I mean, the big day was there. She's first of all, what price? She's 5-4, but the big. It was a great run by Minding, I think, because the horse, the winner, Jet Setting, is obviously brilliant on soft ground. They finished like a furlong clear of the third or something, or 10 lengths clear of the third. So obviously it was a good performance by Minding to nearly get there, and it wouldn't put you off backing her for the Oaks, except that the Oaks is like in whatever is it next Friday week, so
it's week on Friday,
not too far away. Like, so I mean, you'd wonder, is like running that many Group 1s, and this is probably arguably that was a harder race than was expected for Minding, so I'd say that's the one negative, but you couldn't let the performance put you off. I think she's really, really good. I think, if she'd got her head in front, we'd be going like, wow. I think she's very good still. And
Nick, Justin, were you are you still similarly encouraged to think of Minding as the Oaks winner based on what you saw on Sunday? Justin?
Well, I'd be astonished if they thought that Minding was going to get an easy race yesterday with one very much confirmed soft ground performer in the race, and Jet Setting, who, let's face it, would have finished a fair bit closer at Newmarket had she not got absolutely wiped out of furlong down. And Now or Never was expected to probably handle the ground a little bit better than she ended up doing. They do. I think Imagine won the Irish Guineas 2 weeks before the Oaks. They do have form in this regard. You probably wouldn't have ideally liked to have seen her have such a hard race, and of course what happened to her coming out of the stalls as well when she. Yeah. Aidan actually showed us a picture on his phone of the wound that she received, and it's horrific looking. Oh. I'd say you could put your fist into it.
As big as that?
Oh yeah, it was. Unfortunately, I couldn't. I tried to take a photograph of myself off his phone, but it wouldn't.
A photo of the photo?
Well.
No.
But
this is digital publishing. This is
digital age.
This is what we do these days, viewers, listeners.
No, I will credit them with knowing what they're doing, and I can't imagine that they thought they were going to get an easy time for yesterday, and they probably were expecting, at least for her to have a test. I wouldn't be overly worried going into Epsom.
And in your eyes, did she enhance her Oaks claims on Sunday?
Well, she didn't do them any harm. I don't think so. Anyway,
no,
it was a terrific battle. They pulled 10 lengths clear of the third. And they within the space of half a furlong.
Nick, you agree?
Take the winner out. It was a serious performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'd agree with that, especially knowing now what we do about what happened to her in the stalls. Yeah. It probably could well have affected her quite severely. So, not a bad run at all. I mean, no change for me really. But what an extraordinary story with a winner. I mean, you get beaten at Leicester and Brighton on your first 2 starts last season. You get sold out of Richard Hannons for 12 grand.
Yeah.
Lee, me and you could have raided our piggy banks and probably bought it. And it goes and wins the Irish 1000. It's incredible. There is another Ballydoyle horse I do like for the Oaks. I mentioned a few weeks ago on this, and I don't know if she's a certain runner, but Evensong was a massive eye catcher for me at Newmarket in the Pretty Poddy.
Okay.
Don't know if it's the intention to go, but I think she's a half sister or full sister to Simple Verse, so she will stay the trip. If she comes over, she could run very well.
Ireland, is it the intention to run?
I don't know.
No?
To be honest.
Well, you must have an idea, surely. No? I mean,
It's not
Aidan's showing you his phone, Justin. He clearly trusts you.
Oh gosh, don't go that far. No, it's not something that's really entered my head as a possible Oaks winner.
Okay. And guys, just the rest of Paddy, Oaks prices from you.
Yeah, Oaks prices. So Minding is 5-4. Ballydoyle is 11-4. It's like literally the worst price in the world. Just looking at odds checker here. So I shouldn't be saying that. Did I say that out loud? Evensong is 8-1. Turret Rock's 8-1. Somehow 8-1. And an Architecture 16-1. Turret Rocks I'm interested in if they presume to get decent ground at Epsom. I think Turret Rocks just crying out for faster ground and might be a player.
Okay, and Paddy, while you take a phone call from your marketing and advertising team there, Justin, anything else over the 2 days at the Curragh that we should be looking at for the future?
As a potential one for the notebook.
Indeed, yes, that notebook.
There was one. Now, it's around this time of the year that we start playing the game of Find the Wild Horse for Galway.
Right.
And there might have been one in the last race yesterday, a 1.25 maiden, an Aga Khan-owned colt called Zabalan, who was a very eye-catching third in what was probably an ordinary enough maiden, but I'd say he'll be far more primed when you next see him.
Okay, and Nick, doesn't the Aga Khan give his horses good names? Zabalan. It's good, that isn't it?
Yeah. No, I haven't thought of that before, Lee. Yeah,
No?
he does. Yeah, very nicely named. Yeah, and we've had loads, haven't we? Kayasi,
Shergar, Sharistani. You like the names too, Paddy, don't you?
I do. Names are very important, yeah. Obviously, it's one of the names and colours, the two most important things for backing a winner.
Yes, wise words there, and they take us into our first commercial break.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP Fav at one meeting every day this month. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Max free bet £25, 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
The Curragh didn't have all the goodies over the weekend. There's some good stuff in Britain as well, particularly at Haydock, where Profitable followed up his Palace House win in the Temple Stakes. Nick, he travelled through the race like a really good horse. At one point, I thought he was going to go on and win by a length or two.
Yeah, he did. He surprised me, to be honest. I thought it was an open and shut case at Temple Stakes. I thought when the rain came, I thought it was Mecca's Angels to lose. I was of the opinion she was a machine on that kind of ground, and having won the Nunthorpe last season so convincingly, I expected her just to pick up where she left off. She has won first time out before. So I was slightly surprised to see her struggle and not put the race away and lose out to Profitable, who's a very good improving sprinter, but I'm not sure he's out the top draw yet. I thought she was. She might still be. But she's always going to be compromised by the ground, and you've got to go where there's cut in the ground. And she must be a nightmare to train for Michael Dodds, because she's running in the high summer when you normally get quicker ground, and he wants it slow. So has to pick and choose his targets carefully, but they didn't do it that day, did they?
And lads, the three of you, maybe like a yes or a no answer on this one, a bit like question time when David Dimbleby asked for raised hands to be raised in the audience. While we're talking about sprinters, Air Force Blue now heads to the Commonwealth Cup. Aidan O'Brien will try and make him into a proper Group 1 sprinter. The three of you going in order of Nick, Paddy, Justin. Yes or no, is Air Force Blue going to become a top sprinter? Nick?
No.
Paddy?
Yes.
Justin?
I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see him again.
Oh, now you didn't fulfil the yes or no answer
Well,
there,
that's
but you
a-
did. But
that's-
you
that's a
did.
no, then, isn't it?
No, but you
That's a
did
no.
provide me with a really interesting answer. So for that, you are forgiven. Thank you guys for that. And what's just wrapping up the rest of the British action over the weekend? Paul Keeley hit another one in the back of the net with Garcia in the Silver Bowl. Mount Logan decorated night won at Goodwood. Moonrise Landing, an impressive winner, or travel well through that listed race at York. What did you like and what didn't you like?
Well, Moonrise Landing won nicely, but should she go for the Gold Cup at Royal Ascot, I'd probably say she'd need to improve a fair bit still to take a hand in that. I still like the Ballydoyle one Order of St George if they can get him back in time.
He's home now, isn't he? Order of St George if he runs.
Well, he's going for the Savile Beg, isn't he? I think so. If he comes through that, okay, yeah, he'd certainly be at the top of my list. But yeah, there was some good. I can't believe Paul Keeley's winning streak hasn't ended yet. Astonishing, isn't it? And for coincidence, back as Garcia won the the American tournament at the weekend. So if you're into your names, God, you would have been.
Does Sergio win something? I thought Sergio never wins anything.
Sorry, so did I. I backed Kupka in the playoff, and he hit it in the water as soon as I backed him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a lot about golf, but I know that Sergio Garcia is a bit of a choker, isn't he? Is he not?
So we would have thought.
Well, yeah, apparently not. Oh, well, congratulations to all Garcia backers of the four-legged and two-legged variety indeed. And Nick, anything to stick in the RP horse tracker?
Yeah, well, just one for me. Just going back to Ireland again, I thought Bravery ran not a bad race in the Irish Guineas. I'm pretty sure he's a 1 and 2 horse at least, and Aidan's been running him over a mile. He hasn't got many miles on the clock. He's still quite inexperienced. So I thought a 4th place then, running on, wasn't too bad, and he might be one to go on as the season progresses.
Okay, guys, listen, I enjoyed the commercial break so much. Let's have a second one.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP5 at one meeting every day this month. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Max free bet £25, 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
The best evening meeting of the year in Britain takes place on Thursday night at Sandown. The Brigadier Gerard night also includes the Henry II Stakes, the Heron Stakes, and the National Stakes. Always bemuses me why more people don't go to Sandown on this evening. They'll go and see Boyzone, but they won't go and see the Brigadier Gerard, which seems to me quite appalling. But anyway, if we just run through the big races in their chronological order. The National Stakes, Nick, Richard Hannon's got a fantastic record in this one. 6 of the last 9. He's got Memas in there, who was desperately impressive at Newbury last time. Is he the one you're most looking forward to seeing in that race?
He'd seem to be the obvious one, wouldn't he? He beat Global Applause easily at Newbury, like you said. Global Applause is in this race again, reopposing maybe, but I wouldn't fancy that one to reverse the fall in Memas. Yeah, I think he's the one they all have to beat.
Okay. Next up comes the Henry II Stakes. Justin, Willie has got 2 in this William Mullins. Max Dynamite has Ryan Moore jocked up on him. Simonon in there as well. They've both got plenty of experience of the Melbourne Cup in the past. And, of course, Max Dynamite only just beaten by the 100-to-1 shot Prince of Penzance on the first Tuesday of November in probably what I think is the world's greatest flat race in terms of enjoyability. What would you be expecting from Max Dynamite on Thursday and indeed this year, Justin?
Probably a return to the Melbourne Cup, and he might just maybe need the run tomorrow. But I haven't really looked at the race, Lee, to be honest. So I can't be any more informative than that.
Well, no, you gave us a general view on Max Dynamite. We're
can
grateful
I
for it.
Throw
Paddy,
my oar
Paddy.
in there?
No, throw it in. Throw it in.
Here it comes. Get ready to catch this oar. So, Max Dynamite, is it not weird or interesting or totally not interesting at all that Ryan Moore is riding Max Dynamite? Because he's going to be riding Order St George, the Ascot Gold Cup. Max Dynamite will surely go to the Ascot Gold Cup. Ryan Moore will be riding Order St George there. And also Frankie rode him, and he was very, like, he nearly won the Melbourne Cup, whatever, unlucky or maybe not his finest hour or whatever in the Melbourne Cup. Is it in any way controversial, or am I clutching at straws here?
Well, no, I think that is interesting. And Paddy, you've made the point, therefore what do you deduce from the point that you're making?
My deduction is actually kind of boring. It's that if you get a chance to have Ryan Moore up, you have Ryan Moore up. Simple as that. Like, I think it's kind of, maybe that's just where it is. I mean, it's a race worth winning tomorrow, isn't it? And Richie doesn't have that many winners in the flat, and this looks like his best flat horse, so why not?
Yeah, I was sort of hoping for a more controversial deduction.
I know.
The way you're building it up, but never mind.
I imagine that there's a fair chance Ryan Moore might ride him in Australia.
Yes, but not at Ascot.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Well, yeah. They're just everything's just racing for second place at Ascot, aren't they?
Well, I would be inclined to agree. I mean, I thought he might have been Arc Horse Order St George last year when the way he won the Irish Major, but that's all in the past. Nick, how do you see the Henry II Stakes?
I think Max Dynamite. I think I'll say for a start, I think a lot depends on the ground this week. I think if it quickens up at Sandown, if we have a nice dry week, that'll help Max Dynamite, but it'll also help Time Test as well, who's my big fancy in the Brigadier for that night. Brigadier
Gerard. Talk about the Brigadier Gerard then in Time Test.
Yeah, I think if you roll this horse out over 1 and 2 miles on fast ground, I think you'll see an exceptional horse this season. He looked pretty good when he won at Royal Ascot last year. Didn't quite go his way after that. I think the ground at York in the International wasn't quite in his favour, and certainly wasn't when he went over to America. But he was due to run yesterday in Tatsel's Gold Cup, of course, but the ground ruled him out of that. So, and I'm quite glad he didn't go, because I think he does want quick ground, this horse. If he gets it on Thursday, I think he could run very, very well, and I think he's a big player in the Prince of Wales as well after that.
I think there was a nice bit of ease in the ground when Max Dynamite won at York last year, though, wasn't there? He doesn't necessarily need it quick.
We're back on Max Dynamite now, are we, Justin?
Well, I think, did Nick not say that as the ground firms up, it's in Max Dynamite's favour?
Okay. Nick, did you say that?
I might, yeah, I probably did. I was getting ahead of myself. I was probably thinking more of time test. I was getting my words in the jumble. But yeah, I'm sure Max Dynamite does. He goes on most types of ground. But I'm so excited about time test that I couldn't hold back.
It doesn't matter. We're going to win so much money on time test. It doesn't matter about Max Dynamite.
O'Hanlon doesn't miss a thing, does he? He was straight in there, just trying to correct you for your mistake there, Nick. But anyway. Team game this, Justin. The Brigadier Gerald also includes interesting runners. That's all right. No. Don't apologise. My Dream Boat was interesting, or is interesting, based on his winner of a course and distance in the Gordon Richards Stakes. We know Western Him loves the track. Interesting runner too is Intilark. We've not seen him since he was 8th on Dubai World Cup night at Maidan. Roger Verrett's always held him in very high regard. I wonder what Roger thinks about his chances on Thursday.
I don't think we've seen the best of Intilark yet. Very much looking forward to running him at Sandown next week in the Brigadier Gerald Stakes, and hopefully he'd pass that test and line up in the Prince of Wales, Royal Ascot.
So guys, we know that Nick likes time testing this one. Justin and Paddy, do you have a tip for the Brigadier Gerald? If you don't have to have one.
No.
I like Western Him.
Yeah,
I just think Western Him I thought Western Him was very disappointing at Chester, actually. I think the race just passed him by a bit. I think Ryan Moore stole. That was Cannock Chase, wasn't it? And I think I just think Western Him loves the track and all that kind of stuff. And this will be the Targets won this race last year, so Intilark's exciting. Time Test probably is a Group 1 horse, but will probably need to be to give away the few pounds he has to give away. So hopefully Western Him can maybe just get his head in front.
Okay, that's good stuff. And the last of the big races, and that's not to demean the old Whitsun Cup that wraps up the Sandown Carnival, which should be a corker on Bank Holiday Monday in years gone by. The Heron Stakes race that's moved around. Goodwood Haydock now has a home at Sandown. And Kempton, of course, is where it first started, the Heron Stakes. Nick, interesting listed races, isn't it? Zonderland's in there, the Guinea Sick, then Nard from Roger Varian, Time Warp, Simric, lots of high-class horses that maybe fall either side of will they make it, won't they make it? Yeah,
definitely. I wouldn't have a huge view on it at this stage, but one you didn't mention, Royal Artillery, John Gosden's horse.
And that maiden at Don.
Very good winner at Doncaster. He was well touted. He's, in the betting for the Guineas for all the winter. Obviously a bit slow to come to hand, didn't make it, but could make his comeback on Thursday. He'd be interesting for me if he ran, but yeah, no great view at this stage.
Okay, so we mentioned Zonderland was 6th in the Guineas. His trainer is Clive Cox. This is Clive Cox.
He'll go for the Heron Stakes at Sandown. That's the intention, all being well with the ground. But he's come out of the Guineas well. He shows us enough promise at home that we definitely have a nice horse to keep working with, and that was a very pleasing run in very hot company. I think he's better on a sounder surface than a slower surface. I'm sure there's a bit more to come from him.
Okay, lads, before we say goodbye to the listeners in this programme, which we can look back and look forwards, anything else that you want to get off your chests right now? In Ireland, Justin, Paddy.
Well, I don't think we mentioned the Tattersall Gold Cup yesterday, which was a fairly significant contest, I would suggest.
Do you know, you're quite right. That was on the running order, and I missed that. So actually, it's a good thing that you mentioned it, Justin. Smack handy's here for the presenter.
It was a fairly eventful race, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The winner's obviously a good horse and a very good horse on slow ground, but I think the performance of Success Days was remarkable, really. Considering what happened to him in the race.
If he'd stayed on the far side, Justin, would he have won that race?
Well, the width of the straight in the Curragh is, it must be 50, 60 yards. And how many lengths he lost, but I think Shane Foley just wanted to bring him to the centre of the track, but the way as soon as he came under pressure, he hung right over to the stand rail. I mean, he at least would have been second. I think there's a soft ground or a heavy ground Group 1 to be won somewhere with this horse.
In terms of the front two, Fascinating Rock and Found, they seem to meet each other all the time and reverse the placings. Is that their natural order? Fascinating Rock just a bit better than Found, do you think?
I think possibly. I thought Found was a little bit unlucky at Ascot, but Found had a run under her belt when she beat Fascinating Rock the last day, and Fascinating Rock was able to turn those tables fairly convincingly on Sunday. I don't really see it, provided that he has his conditions in the autumn. Could be a very exciting autumn with this horse now with Ascot, and if he gets soft ground in an arc, he's a horse that could well take a lot of beating. On soft ground, I think he's the better of the two, but he obviously needs conditions in his favour.
And Paddy, is he an arc horse or a champion stakes horse? We know he's a champion because he's won one.
Potentially an arc horse. Yeah, I think on softer ground. I mean, I was going to say unbeatable, but that's probably a bit strong. But it certainly looks very, very, very good on soft ground. So I think would be an arc horse. I think Found actually tends to run better later in the season anyway, and she definitely wants better ground. She's been Irish champion stakes or something like that, I'd imagine. But the horse that I took out at the weekend, it's not half as high profile, but I won a handicap yesterday called Craig's Pipes. Won a mile handicap. It just looks really progressive and could actually progress into kind of possibly even into the upper echelon, the bottom echelons of Group Company maybe. Well, an interesting quote from Andy Slattery after the race as a trainer. He said that the owner wants to go for a listed race, but he said if she was to perform well in a listed race, the ground would have to be close to unraceable. Okay, well, there you go. Well, what would he know compared to me?
Nick, anything else you want to say?
He's the Curragh this year. Actually. Just keep an eye on him when he runs horses there. That trainer.
Noted. Written down. Cheers, Justin. Nick, anything else you want to say?
Well, there was a few reverses for Ballydoyle at the weekend, wasn't there? A few disappointing runs, but they would have been delighted with the success of Caravaggio, I think, in the Marble Hill. I thought it was some performance to go from winning at Dundalk to winning on that kind of ground at the weekend and doing it so well as well. I'm not sure where he's going to go at Royal Ascot. If he went for the Coventry, I think he'd have an excellent chance.
Okay, excellent. Well, guys, that is pretty much it then. We return on Friday, looking ahead to the weekend's action when, again, I think Haydock is the main meeting at home. It's been a fascinating show. Thank you to Nick Watts, to Justin O'Hanlon and to Paddy Power, who gave us the line which will appear on Twitter from this show, in that Fascinating Rock is unbeatable in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. He says that 4 months plus before the race. Some man, Paddy Power. Goodbye, one and all. Thank you.
The Racing Postcast, in association with Paddy Power. They stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC.